Hi guys, welcome to the review of Tecno Phantom X2 Pro, so let's get started. This is the Tecno Phantom X2 Pro, the new flagship from Tecno. The Tecno Phantom X2 Pro was a top-of-the-line phone with an emphasis on photography. The special 3D design of the camera bump immediately catches your attention. The cameras stick out individually a lot and they have their own color accent as well. Both the Phantom X2 Pro and the non-Pro model have a very same looks. The Pro variant brings something exceptional, a dedicated portrait camera that pops out of the phone. It's motorized. The X2 Pro's overall design may be polarizing to some, at least in this bright orange completion. The back panel is made of finely textured recycled plastic and it curves into a metal frame. The phone feels strong in hand, but unfortunately there is no official ingress protection here. The display of the Phantom X2 Pro is a huge 6.8-inch curved OLED with a 1080p resolution and a 120Hz refresh rate. It's always great to have a quick refresh rate, smooths your swiping and scrolling, and there's support for high frame rate gaming. When you're not using the screen, it will dial down to 60 Hz to save energy. Obviously, the screen being an OLED is very contrasty and sharpness is great too. There is no support for HDR. Now on to the brightness. We estimated a limit of 500 nits most extreme, and there's no lift in auto mode. On top of that, there is a light sensor and even a high brightness switch in settings. That doesn't seem to work. So maybe it could be fixed someday through a software update, while most premium phones have a stereo speaker arrangement. But the X2 Pro has just a single bottom firing speakers. The loudness and sound quality is not too impressive in our test. Charging speed is nothing special. The phone comes with a 45-watt adapter in the box. With it, we were able to charge the phone from 0 to only 39% in 30 minutes, and the battery duration of the Phantom X2 Pro is strong. It has a large 5000 mAh battery, and it earns a 109 hours endurance rating in our tests. Now on to the chipset. It has a flagship-grade MediaTek Dimensity 9000 based upon a 4nm process. It gives great performance comparable to phones running on the top Snapdragons in silicon. The gaming performance is brilliant and the phone has no issue in pushing games beyond 60 FPS. To speak of this smooth experience translated to Tecno's iOS 12 interface too, that is heavily customized with lots of proprietary features. Now on to the fingerprint reader. In Phantom X2 Pro, the fingerprint reader is placed under the display, which is very quick and reliable. The Phantom X2 Pro comes with 256 GB of storage on board. This is not expandable through microSD. Now on to the cameras. The Phantom X2 Pro has a 50-megapixel main camera, the retractable 50-megapixel portrait zoom camera, and a 13-megapixel ultra-wide camera, all with autofocus. The main camera takes strong 12.5-megapixel photos. There's a lot of detail, great dynamic range and decent sharpness. The colors look natural as well. If you can shoot in the 50-megapixel mode, you can actually achieve a bit more fine detail. While maintaining the other qualities of the photos, it's a decent choice, and you can also take portraits with the main camera. These are good looking with great subject separation, but since you have that dedicated portrait zoom camera, this camera gives 2.5 times optical zoom, so you don't need to stand so close to the subject. The portrait camera can also be used to take regular 2.5 times zoomed photos. These are great, really clean and sharp, and since this camera has an extra wide aperture, it's able to give a natural blurred background behind a closer subject, even without the portrait mode on. The 13-megapixel ultra-wide takes surprisingly clean and detailed shots. The colors are natural looking, consistent with the other two cameras. The 32-megapixel selfie camera shoots photos with a lot of detail and great sharpness. With pleasant skin tones, we just wish it has autofocus like other cameras. Now comes to video recording. The main camera and portrait camera can shoot in up to 4K at 30 FPS. The quality is excellent with a lot of detail and natural colors. The look is contrasty, however the dynamic range is not amazing. The ultra-wide is limited to 1080p, and these have a great amount of detail for the resolution, and the color rendition is a bit more lively again, and there's a lot of contrast and the dynamic range could be better. There's electronic stabilization available on all of the cameras and it done a decent job. So that is the Tecno Phantom X2 Pro. This is a phone that pretty solid, when it's come to things like the chipset, the cameras and the battery duration. But there are a handful bunch of shortcomings. To charging speed is on the slow side. You don't get stereo speakers or ingress protection, and probably the most effective is that the screen doesn't get very bright. So overall, the Phantom X2 Pro is an okay phone, but the downside make it a bit tougher to recommend. So, this is the review of Tecno Phantom X2 Pro. If you like it, give the big thumbs up and make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching guys, and see you on the next one.